In this tutorial we investigate the workbench on RaPP. It's on the left hand side here, and the first thing about the workbench is you can either have it displayed as it is now, or by hitting this X you can hide it, or if you want to see the workbench, show workbench button. Okay, the other things that the workbench has, is the most important button is explore map data. This is really important because this enables you to load all the other data stored in the system, look at the regional reports, do the analysis for time series, add data. This global button here is for the global users and is less relevant to people using RaPP in Australia. The second figure is the upload button. This enables you to add data. You can either add it by just dragging it. So if you have a shape file which is zipped up, you can just drag it onto this platform and it will load the polygon for you. Otherwise, you can actually add other data directly. So if there is data that you can find on your machine or that is coming from a web server, you can also add that. Another button is the search for locations. This one you can use to find places listed in Google. So if I wanted to go to Cleve, I type in Cleve, it then gives me options. There's a Cleve in South Australia, and it'll take you directly to Cleve and display all the data around there, which you can then just zoom in and out of. Another nice function is that it enables you to use lats and longs. So if you've got research sites where you know the lats and longs in decimal degrees, you can just put them into the search engine. For example, you might have one at 33 degrees south. Don't forget the comma, and then you put in the longitude, so 136. It finds that location for you and then just zoom to it. This is, as I said, very handy if you just want to find existing points. And don't forget, because you can click on a pixel, this lat and long shows up. So you can then also copy that lat and long into the cell here. You need to remove it. So it's get rid of these because it's negative. Put the negative sign in to return to that site. The other feature is the workbench shows the displayed layers. So within the displayed layer there are controls for that layer. So the first thing is the ideal zoom. Clicking that zooms the layer to its full extent. The next button, about data, provides this information about where this data is stored, its description, who looks after it, its URL, etc. There's also a brief description about what the data is. The three dots hold three more things. There's the compare tool, which we've talked about in a previous one, which enables you to display data left and right. There's the export tool. This enables you to export the raster data as a GeoTIFF to your computer. You just draw the area you want and then download. Hit the download button and you'll get the data back to your machine. The final one is remove. So you can remove this existing layer just by clicking that. If you have multiple layers, you can remove all of them by clicking this button. You can also collapse them. So if you have multiple layers, so if I add another layer, so I've now got two layers here, the vegetation deciles and the VPN. If I want to, I can collapse them so you can't see all these menus, you just see the titles, but the difficulty is you then don't have the legend, so you don't know what the colours mean on your map. So you just collapse all. Then if you want them back, expand them all. Or you can collapse them individually using the button on the arrow on the right. The next feature is the opacity. I'm just going to remove this layer, and then we have it just the one layer here. If I wanted to see what was underneath the layer for the underneath map, and I change my map settings now to a satellite image, put it in 2D, you can then move the opacity and you can see that these red areas, which are the below average, where they sit in the landscape just by using the opacity. The next button is here is the timeline. So this enables you to move backwards through time to June, July, May, April. So if you just want to go 1 month at a time and not go very far, you can utilise this button, these little arrows, and you go forward again. If you wanted to jump further, you could use this Use Timeline button. This displays down the bottom. So now instead of going back at a month at a time, I might want to come back to here, which is May 2016. So this is a much faster way to move around the time series rather than just clicking through individually. The final button is here is the Show Available Times. So this is monthly data, but every now and again you'll see there's a gap. So in some of the time series which are seasonal, there are lots of gaps. So this shows you what data is available. So for example, if I click on this one, October 2013 is available. But obviously I can't click up here because there is no data available, or before the time series, or when there is missing data, which occurs every now and again. Well, that concludes this section on how to use the Workbench